The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, May 31st, St. Felix of Nicosia. Felix was born in the Sicilian city of Nicosia, where his father was a poor shoemaker. His parents were very devout, and the child who, so to speak, had suckled piety at his mother's breast had from his early childhood an almost instinctive horror for the slightest vestige of sin. From the age of 7, he went to work in the shoemaker's workshop and experienced such deep suffering at hearing the foul language of customers and employees that he often plugged his ears with cotton wool so as not to hear. As for this, a great remedy was provided, thanks to a miracle which, it seems, was performed by God through the intermediary of the innocent little boy. One of the workers, who accidentally cut the leather on the top of a shoe, swore a terrible oath. The little apprentice, who was sitting next to the other, shrank back as if he had received a blow. He immediately reacted. He stood up, took the broken shoe, and ran his finger, dipped in his saliva, over the cut. He immediately returned the garment intact and without any mark on it to the one who had blasphemed in the presence of his astonished companions. When Santiago, to give him the name he received at the baptismal font, was 20 years old, his father died, and without wasting time, he went to ask for admission to the Capuchin convent, from where he was rejected. Disillusioned, but without giving up his intentions, the young man devoted himself to work, prayer, and mortification, renewing from time to time his request to the convent. Finally, at the end of 7 years, he was admitted to the Capuchin house at Mistretta, where he received the habit along with his name, Felix. A year later, he made his profession and was called to Nicosia to assist the brother almoner on his rounds of the city. In private, Felix practiced great austerities. In public, his love of God was manifested in charity toward his fellow men. Heaven rewarded his piety by endowing him with powers to cure temporal diseases and evils of the spirit. Countless sinners were brought back to the right path by his efforts, including some imprisoned criminals whom the Blessed helped with food and words of consolation. Wherever he went, he did good. He worked, prayed, and offered his penances for all, without distinction. When an epidemic broke out and decimated the population of Sicily in March 1777, the local superiors of the order, anxious to alleviate the sufferings of the people, requested the services of Brother Felix. By then, he was already over 60 years old, but he responded promptly to the call. Without fear of contagion, he tirelessly attended to the sick, and his labors were rewarded with many cures. "So be it for the love of God," was the phrase he would utter when he saw that he had performed a marvelous cure. It can well be said that, for the love of God, he lived his whole existence. After the virtue of charity, he had the virtue of obedience. He was never known to do anything without the permission of his superiors, and when he fell prey to his final illness, he asked his father guardian for permission to die. He passed to receive his reward in heaven on May 31st, 1787, at the age of 78.